Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another episode of Manifesting Muslimah. I'm your host Zara Pedersen, and in today's episode I am going to share with you a question that is so much better for you to ask yourself than what should I do? And I think this is something that we all are guilty of doing. We set a goal for ourselves. We ask Allah for something. We are asking for Him to deliver a dua to us and whatever it might be. And our next question, when we then have to, when we're in that position of like, okay, so now I've made the dua, I've set the goal, I've done all that stuff. What should I do next? Okay. This is a very valid question, by the way. There is nothing wrong with asking this question. The problem with the question though is that it's limited to like your behavior in that moment. So it's like a checklist, so to speak, right? And that's, again, nothing wrong with it. I love a good checklist myself. My ADHD brain, if it's written down, I'll remember it. Okay, if it's not, I don't know it even exists. So I love a good like what to do next kind of thing. But sometimes it can help us, instead of thinking of what to do next, it is rather who should I be next? Who do I need to be to have this in my goal? Who is the person who has this already? And that behavior that person has, we can mimic, we can fake it till we make it, and that'll create for us sort of inadvertently the actions that are necessary for us to take. So instead of kind of going, what I would kind of argue it's the backwards way around, which is sort of saying what to do and then hope to become the person who just does it naturally. So we're not trying to force actions on ourselves and breaking habits and stuff like that. We are simply operating from a new ground zero. We are simply operating from a new perspective, from a new place of being. So let me explain a little bit further, because I can understand that can sound like, girl, that sounds even harder than, just following a to-do list. And I understand exactly what you might be going through. So allow me to explain what I mean. The thing about having like a what should I do next, what should I do next, what should I do next? Again, there is nothing necessarily wrong with it. It works for a lot of people, but for some few people, it's not enough, because we are still looking for the action to validate. We're looking for the things that we do to bring the results almost immediately in order for us to maintain it, to continue being motivated by it, and so on and so forth. So we are kind of, cycling uphill against the wind, and there's a person in front of us that's spitting at us at the same time. It's really hard for a lot of people to work in that kind of environment of like, I'm going to do something that I've never done before, and I'm just kind of hoping that at some point that's going to give me the results. And if I'm not getting the results, then, I'm going to become demotivated, right? The solution for that kind of people, which is like myself, I'm one of those people who have a difficult time with it. While I enjoy my to-do list, while I enjoy everything in writing, all that stuff, an easier way for me has been to just step into the role of the person who already has it, who is just automatically doing those things. So one of the exercises that I like to do is I think about the thing that I want, and this is for you to do as well in your own time, of course, but think about the thing that you want. And now imagine the person who already has it. And you probably have some idea, some vision in your head of what you would look like, or the person who has this looks like, what their morning routine is like, their evening routine, how they tackle problems, how they deal with their salah, how they handle content creation, cleaning their homes. Like you probably have like a list of things, or like a list of images in your head around who this person is, that you've imagined yourself like, oh, once this happens, then X, Y, and Z. Like then it's easier for me to do these things and become that person and be like that. Now, what you want to do is bring that version into the present. What you want to do is say that version of me is already available. It's already there. I just need to step into the role of that. And in the beginning, it's going to be very much sort of like play pretend, it's the whole like saying fake it till you make it, right? But the reason why people say it is because it works. It works to fake it till you make it. Because at some point, it's like, oh, your reality follows suit. Your reality just starts catching up with what you're doing. And then you're going to start seeing the evidence of it, right? But by embracing and becoming that version of you who already has it, you're also in that way sort of absorbing the mindset of that person. So you can leave aside the doubt and whatever this current version of you holds on to is, being hesitant on and having fears around. You can let that go because that future version of you doesn't have those same things. I would assume at the very least that version of you doesn't have it because they already have the thing that you're currently wanting, right? So here's what happens when we step into the role. So like I'm going to use myself as an example, as I always do, because it's just easier. When I started manifesting Muslima now, just over 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. It is 2 years ago. Yay! Happy 2-year anniversary to me. Well, by the time you hear this episode, it will have been a little bit, it'll have been gone, the anniversary. But thank you anyway, if you said congratulations, even if in your head or in your soul. But so 2 years ago, when I sat down, I was like, I want to do manifesting Muslima. Okay, so where do I begin? And I was like, oh gosh, what if people don't like it? And I feel like I have to explain a lot. And also I want to set up a podcast, but like I haven't even got an audience yet who's going to listen to the podcast. And, my TikTok, I had no followers, of course, because I was like completely new on TikTok. And I was like, what do I do? Do I post like, hey, I'm just trying this thing and let's see if it works? And hey ho, no. Like I sat down and I was like, who is the person who already has a successful business where she teaches law of attraction from an Islamic perspective? Well, she shows up even when she doesn't know if anybody's going to listen, because she knows the message is that important, that the right people will always find the message, the content that she's putting out there. So I started creating, not from like the point of like, oh gosh, I don't know, and like sort of questioning it and kind of hesitating around it. I was showing up. Sorry, I gotta laugh a little because like I had to just realize for a second. I was showing up so much more consistently, specifically on TikTok, I'm speaking right now, than I am today. I was showing up on TikTok a minimum of 3 times a day for a full year. The first year, TikTok was everything to me because is such a great tool for like creating that brand awareness and stuff, and the reach and the algorithm was really helpful. I don't really know right now these days, it seems to be doing a lot of different stuff. But anyway, so I was showing up so consistently because I was like, it's not about who I have as an audience. So I was probably showing up more when I had 500 followers than now that I have nearly 50,000 followers, at least at the time of recording this episode. I don't know if I've reached 50,000 by the time this episode comes out, but let's see. But the point is that I was showing up as if I already had an audience. I was showing up as if I knew that this is what people want to hear. So I was just creating content from the positioning of who that person was who already had that business that was running, not from someone who was trying to get a business up and running, but somebody who already had it running. And the person who has it running creates content because she knows there is an audience for it. So she's creating because she knows people want to hear it. She's creating content that she knows people want to listen to, that they need answers to their questions, so on and so forth. And the same with the podcast. I didn't show up with my podcast and go like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do this and da da da. I think at the time that was also once a week, and then eventually I did twice a week, and now I'm back to once a week because it was a little bit too much to do twice a week. But I was showing up every week on the podcast and delivering content, even when at the beginning I think like I had like only like 10, 20 listeners per episode. I was still showing up because I believe that at some point that's going to pay off, because I'm still delivering content as the person whose reality will eventually catch up with her. And as a result, I'm now in a position where the reality has caught up. I have an audience for my podcast. I have an audience for my TikTok. I'm earning money from Manifesting Muslima. I'm coaching people one-on-one, and I've got a beautiful membership group of women from all around the world. But I did all of those things because I stepped into a role. And now it's no longer a role. It is simply who I am. It is just the way that I do things. But I didn't have to convince myself first to do those things. I simply did it because I already stepped into the role of who that person was. I really hope I'm making sense to you as I'm trying to explain this, because I do know that it can sound so strange. But this is why I say start with imagining that person. That is the very first step. Who is that person who has it? And I know for a fact you have an idea already. You have imagined this so many times in your brain before you go to sleep, whatever. of that version of you who has the money, who has the house, who has the husband, who has that job, who's traveling around the world, who, whatever it might be that you're praying to Allah for. And I know that there's a part of that character that you're imagining that does things ever so slightly different, that shows up ever so slightly different, that talks and presents themselves ever so slightly different, that has a ever so slightly different routine, that does something spiritually ever so slightly different, right? And instead of saying, I'm going to do that when the thing has come to me, so first I have to build up the momentum myself and so on and so forth, you simply step in. You just say, you know what, I'm taking over for my imaginary self. I'm actually done just imagining this version of myself. I'm just going to step into the role fully and completely. I am now her. Okay, so just step into it. Step into that, and then start with what feels the easiest for you. So if the version of you, like, let's say something like about having a husband, right? Because some people are like, well, how can I start being a married woman if I don't have a husband? Well, you can start doing the things that the version of you who are married does. And I always use the example of matching underwear. So if you've been here for some time, you will know, you will have heard this example time and again, but it bears reminding, because I think a lot of us are like, oh, when I get married, then I'll start, putting on my nice underwear. Then I'll start, having a matching bra and panty set, because then somebody's there to appreciate it. Do you know what I mean? And so that becomes like this whole thing of like, when, then. Okay, so when this happens, then I will X, Y, and Z. So you don't have to have a husband to feel sexy, to feel like, hey, I'm hiding something real cute underneath my dress, underneath my abaya, underneath whatever it is that you choose to wear. And already then you've stepped one step closer into that role of being that person instead of just imagining that person. Another thing, let's stay on the subject of marriage, for instance. You feel like, oh, when I'm married, then I'll become house proud. Then I'll go that extra mile to make sure that my house is an actual home, that it feels lived in and comfortable and cozy, and then there is order. And meanwhile, right now, you're sort of like, it doesn't matter if there's a mess around me because it's just me and I can live with it and blah, 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 blah. Instead, take that same pride in your house now. Take that pride in your house now, decorate it the way that you would make a home. Step into that part of you that is house proud, so that you don't have to build it up once the blessing is here, but that you can just step comfortably into it because you're already living it. You're already experiencing it. So it's not going to be like throwing a bucket of cold water in your face when the blessing arrives. You're already there. You're already doing it. This is easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's just go for it. Yay, happy days. Right? I feel like there was another example that I really wanted to share as well around this specific thing. Yes, another thing that I've heard some women talk about, like, and it's fine if this doesn't apply to you, by the way, because I know that it's not everyone, and some people can find it a little bit triggering, perhaps. Well, I don't know if triggering is the right word, but whatever, you know what I mean. So I've heard some people say, like, I will take my prayers more seriously when I'm married because I need my husband to pray with me, and I don't really want to I don't want to wake up for Fajr because, like, I want to wake up with my husband. I feel like it's going to be easier when we wake up together instead of me waking up alone and it's cold out and I don't want to. Listen. Step into that role again. Step into that version of you who is doing it with a husband. Start waking up for Fajr and say, when I get married, I will be doing the same thing. I'm not going to change my routine around for the man. In fact, it's going to be easy for that man to come into my life because I've already made space for him. I'm already doing the things that we would be doing together when he comes. So it's not about creating space after the fact. It's about making the space already by being the person who's already doing it, by being the person who already wakes up for Fajr. It's not like you have to change your whole rhythm and your day and your approach to Salah or Allah even after you get married. You're already having that relationship with Allah so that when the other person comes into your life, you don't have to start from scratch. He doesn't have to teach you anything. You're already there, so you can do it in partnership rather than being led by someone or being told, even in some cases, by someone else, right? So those are some examples that I see, like a lot of women, I've experienced a lot of women share with me and just in general, like some experiences that I'm like, I feel like a lot of people can relate to these things. And that is examples of stepping into that person. So what we're not doing is creating a whole new persona. This is not what this is about. It's not like I'm now going to pretend that I am Toni Braxton. I don't know why I just said Toni Braxton. It was the first it was the first name that came to my mind, and so we're going to run with it. Toni Braxton. Like, it's not that we're pretending we're someone we're not, because that's not what it is. This is you knowing I can do this. So when the thing is here, I know that that is the version of me that I am imagining myself to be and that I want to live up to. What we're just doing is we're just pulling it from the future into the now. We're just choosing to say, instead of waiting for that to come, I can choose to be that person already. And when I choose to be that person, I'm also now adopting the mindset, which this is the important bit here, because when we're when we're bringing that version of ourselves from the future in here, we're now also adopting their mindset. And the adoption of the mindset means that the habits, the things that we do, become that much easier, because we don't doubt it. We don't doubt why we're doing it. We're not questioning it. We don't feel silly for doing it. We simply do it because now this is just what this person does. This is just what this person does. Of course I'm going to wake up and pray Fajr. Of course I'm going to wear matching underwear and take pride in what I'm wearing underneath my abaya. Of course my house is beautiful because I take care of it, because I'm making a home. Of course I'm doing these things or acting this way because that's just what I do. This is who I am. And this is the version of me that has the reality that she wants, because she's acting accordingly. It would also be like, just to give I suppose like an extreme example, you know how I love my extreme examples, but it's almost like, you know how in this dunya we are good Muslims. So we step into the role of being good Muslims, even when we know we're sinners and we do bad things from time to time and we constantly make mistakes and we can't be perfect. We keep stepping into this role of being Muslim. I keep coming up to prayer or showing up for prayer. I keep fasting during Ramadan. I keep making my dhikr and my dua and my remembrance, and I keep trying to be a good person and all of these things, because the goal is Jannah. And the people of Jannah do these things. They are just good people. So I'm trying to, by being like bringing that version of Jannah me, inshallah, into this dunya, it becomes easier for me to follow through even if I slip. But if I didn't have that version of the Jannah me, it would be much harder for me to step into that role where that was even available to me. And then it would be harder for me to force myself to prayer or force myself to be a good person or deal with my hanger during Ramadan and things like that, right? We are not waiting for Jannah to come to us. We are preparing ourselves for Jannah, for us to get to Jannah. So we are acting accordingly so that inshallah, with the correct behavior, we will get to Jannah. Now, I want you to think the same way of the goal. Yeah, you might not see it right now in your 3D, but certain behaviors make it much more likely for that reality to come to you than other behaviors. So if you can adapt those behaviors by being that kind of person, you're making it that much easier for you to step into that reality when Allah then decides now is the right time to roll it out for you. Okay, there are so many more examples that I could come up with, but I feel like the marriage one is the one that most people have questions about. But it could be, as I said, like even like the version of you who wants, like me, like a business, setting up your own business. Start showing up not as a newbie. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Stop making excuses for yourself. Stop accepting anything less than the version of you that already has it, right? So start showing up as that person. Start adopting that mindset that person have of it already is, because I'm living it. And then be in that role. So stop asking, what should I do next? It's who should I become next? What level of myself should I step into in order for this now to become my reality? And we can choose any type of steps. And I think it's actually quite interesting when we're thinking about it, like if we're thinking, and I'm trying to think of like certain celebrities who are really good at doing that. And I'm really bad at this actually, but like celebrities are doing it all the time. Celebrities are so good at doing it, mainly because they usually have like a PR team and like a whole glam team around them to help them through it. But ultimately it's what they're doing. They're stepping into roles all the time, right? And like, I don't know, Lady Gaga, at first she stepped into that quirky stuff and meat suit here and whatever there. And then she had her little, I'm not like a huge Gaga fan in that I don't follow her or anything like that, but she's just someone who's been around for a long time, longish time. And you can see that she has so many character development, right? So it's not about lying to yourself and completely changing your personality and character. It's simply stepping into the version. It's not that you are becoming a new person. It's that you're accentuating aspects of what is already within you and highlighting them and focusing on them, drawing attention to them and saying, while I have enjoyed this a character that, or this skill or this part of me that has been keeping me at this place, it is no longer useful for me to get to the next step. And so thank you to present me. I'm going to leave you where you are, and now I'm going to step into future version of me. You're not lying. It's not an act. It's not, again, like we're not pretending we're someone we're not. We're simply choosing to highlight a different version of ourselves that's already in us. So I'm not asking you to do something that you've never done before. Oh, you can, absolutely. But it's more sort of like, it's not something that's unheard of. I'm not asking you to fly without wings. I'm asking you to do something that's already so within your capability to do. I'm not asking you to become a pilot if you've never had piloting lessons. That's not what it's about. It's about adopting the character and the mindset of the future version of you so that you can start behaving in that way, and that brings that reality closer to you. Okay? And when in doubt, really take a look at some of your favorite celebrities. Another one, I'm so sorry if I'm going to offend people, but like I have to say it. I have to stay true to who I am. The demon worshipper, Beyonce. Oh my God, please, Beyonce, don't come for me. I know you can't. Everybody hates it when you criticize Beyonce, but whatever. It is what it is. Now you know where I stand on that. If you don't like me anymore, that's fine. But so Beyonce, though, is another wonderful example, actually, probably one of the best examples of her constantly, shifting into different characters of her persona and embodying like this next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And she's not asking permission. She didn't, when she decided she wanted to do country music, she didn't put out a PR statement saying, please, I want to try this, like, be nice. This is my first time singing country bops. That wasn't what she just was like, I'm doing it. I'm stepping in. Here's the cowboy hat. Here's the denim and the boots. Let's go for it. Here's a cow. Let's ride it. She went for it, right? She just did that thing. And then she was like, so I'm now doing country music, and that's just the way it is. There was no permission to be asked, and it wasn't about like, oh, this is not Beyonce anymore, and like, why is she acting as if she's something else? It's still very much Beyonce. She's just stepped into a different aspect of who she knows she can be, what is available to her. Now, country singer is not in my, maybe it is, but like, it's definitely not necessarily something that I want to go into potentially. Like, I never say never, because you never know with me. I could do anything, like, because I'm that spontaneous, and like one day I'm doing that and the next day I'm doing something completely different. But it's not necessarily something that I'm feeling called to do or drawn to do. So me suddenly stepping out of coaching women in law of attraction from an Islamic perspective and then becoming a country singer might be such a drastic shift for most people that they'd be like, what are you doing, Zara? Like, this is a bit strange. So that's not what I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to step into that version of you that is accessible, that is like within your reach, that you're actually dreaming of, which means you're probably already in whatever way, even if it's subconscious, potentially already aligning yourself with, making that shift into that future version of you that much easier to get or attain when you decide that you want it. Excuse me, that was a little burp. I don't know if you heard it. I think I managed to make it a silent one. Anyway, so that's what I want for you to do. That is your exercise today. I want you to stop asking, what do I need to do? And ask, who do I need to be? Who do I need to be? And then think of that future version of you that already has that thing that you're wanting. Look at what that person is doing different to you, Remember, this is still you. We're not thinking of a different person. This is still you. Maybe they dress different. Maybe they speak different. Maybe they listen to different things. Maybe they read more books. Maybe they read less books and are outside more, meeting people. Whatever it is, it can be big, it can be small. And start adopting. Okay, I'm stepping into it. I'm going to do like that person does. And then watch as quite quickly, actually, your reality is now going to start changing and become the reality that you're asking for, because you're already stepping into that role yourself. All right, my darling, that is what I had to share with you today. Some random examples and some ish talk about celebrities, maybe a little bit today. It took us where it needed to take us. I hope you got the point of the message that I was trying to share with you today. And I hope that I haven't scared you off too much by calling Beyonce a devil worshipper. I will see you, inshallah, same time next week for another episode of the podcast. But until then, my darling friend, please don't forget to live in love.